Well, I guess I should start tearing this 5.3 apart to get the heads and the other stuff I want off of it for the 4.3 or 4.8. I got to, I painted half the block. I never thought I'd paint an LS green, but I gotta make sure the wife likes that color before I spend too much time cleaning the side of the block and painting it. And those cast iron heads are just sitting on it, so I can safely sit the supercharger on there and kind of get it out of my way. But when I was at an auto parts store the other day, my wife was with me and I told her to go find the color she wants to paint her LS motor for the Gremlin, and she came back with that green color, so I'll make sure she likes that for sure. But anyways, I guess I gotta get this thing unburied. And I had a friend over the other day, and that's almost a full bottle of NOS I've got there, and he wants to ghetto fog a junky old car he's got, so maybe we'll do that sometime and go find a field in the snow and shoot a bunch of NOS into an old crummy car and see what happens. But I kind of forgot about that sitting there. So anyways, I'm gonna get this thing undug. Alright, well, the first thing I did was get those crusty transmission cooler lines out of the way and pulled the starter. I don't know why I cut the wiring to this stuff. I was probably just being lazy, but the crankshaft sensor, or the flywheel or crankshaft, I guess, sensor plug and the starter wires. So I'll have to resplice those onto the wiring harness. I'll probably pull the spark plugs so I can turn the motor over easier to get the torque converter bolts out. And I was talking to another kid on Instagram. He has actually done an LS in his AMC Hornet, I think, like Sportabout wagon, and he used the 4L60E, and he told me he had to cut his floorboard for that thing to fit into the tunnel. So on the passenger side, he's got like this box he had to build out. And he also said because of the cooling lines there were giving him problems about fitting in his tunnel. The reason he was telling me that is he watched a video about where I was showing the 4L80E fitting in there with no modifications. So the 4L80E definitely does not have this servo solenoid, whatever that thing is, clutch back on it, so that could definitely be something I'll have to look into and see. That may have to cut a hole in the Gremlin to fit that. I don't know. I'll have to look into it, or maybe I'll be fortunate enough to find another two-wheel drive 4L80E. Kind of doubt that. Those are really super hard to come by up here. So anyways, I thought I would just see what I've done so far, and then what I'm thinking. So I'll get that motor up on the engine stand. And I went to storage and got the wiring harness. So it may be a good idea to kind of start building the wiring harness on that motor, since it's kind of gross and greasy anyways, and it's got, you know, most of the components on there I need. So might actually start cutting and building this wiring harness, and that way we can dress it on the engine stand and on the engine, and kind of already have the wiring harness mold it to how I want to do it for the Gremlin whenever I get around to installing it. So, but anyways, I'm going to carry on and get that motor off and off the transmission there and get it up on the engine stand. I guess it's a good thing I bought these hex or Allen head socket set thing, because turns out the torque converters on this are just that. So thought I'd just point that out. Now, since there was only 3 bolts in that torque converter, I thought I would take a look at the differences in the flex plate, because I wonder if they're different in size. They're like 14 inches roughly. This is the 6-liter. I guess they're the same. Well, you definitely can't use that flex plate though, because I'm pretty sure this is pretty flushed. This is that 4.8. It's got the same flex plate as the 6-liter. But this one here, it's kind of dipped in some in the center. And it's only got the 3 holes. I mean, it's got a lot of holes, but it's only got the actual 3 holes for the torque converter. So I guess, yeah, see, these are pretty much flush. So, well, I guess that's some news for us, and for me. If you're going to use a 4L60E and you're going to do a 4L80E, you're definitely going to have to switch out flex plates and whatnot. So, anyways, I thought I'd just show that and measure them real quick before I put it on the engine stand. Alright, well, there's the big pile of wiring, so I'll try to get it spread out so we can see what's what and kind of drape it on the engine there. So I'll bring it back when I get that. Alright, well, kind of got this thing spread out. Well, that's turn signal headlight stuff. So all this junk here is going to be for stuff that was going into the cab. Basically how I did it is I just kind of cut everything off, because you're mainly going to be after the pink wires to all your fuse stuff. That's what's kind of running all your sensors and whatnot. And there's some other wires we'll need, but we definitely don't need the headlight stuff. And so I'm going to kind of get everything that's just doesn't need to be on here off, and then hook the computer, which those 2 little bolts are those 7mm, Chevy style little bolts, since Chevy likes to use those 7mm for a lot of things. So I think all these are actually. Yep. But I'm going to kind of pick away at this stuff here. So basically I'm just going to cut all this nonsense away because we don't need any of it. And unhook the computer, get this stuff unhooked. And I might just pull this pod out for now. And just pull these pods out without cutting these yet. But I'll get it kind of trimmed up and we'll throw it on the motor. Okay, well, I didn't grab an intake to bring with me. I got those all in storage. So then this wiring harness kind of used to bolt on top of the intake, and this is all the computer fuse panel would all be on the driver's side here. This is the wires I cut going to the starter, kind of wraps under and goes around. We got our driver's side injector wires. Here's our passenger side stuff. And then this tail here goes to the transmission. And then I believe this used to go to like AC, maybe the alternator and stuff, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So basically I'm going to wire this wiring harness. I'm going to mold it the same way I did in the AMX. I'm going to put the computer over here, and then I'm going to put the fuse stuff and the battery and the Gremlin on the driver's side. So I'm going to kind of mold it the same way, because even the van wiring harness that was for this motor was kind of molded something kind of like this. So basically, this big wiring harness here is just going to kind of run down on the side. Computer will be kind of right there. I'll kind of de-loom all this and get all my pink wires and stuff ran through here, and then just come back around the motor and just kind of swing out to the side to go hook to the fuse panel and stuff, and then I'll just kind of leave these looms with the injector wires alone, because I don't really need to delete anything off of them, I don't think. And as far as the transmission goes, since I'm going to be running the 4L60, I don't need any of the neutral safety stuff, and I don't need the front O2 sensors. I think I need the two rear O2 sensors, unless I'm going to go speed density, but we're just going to kind of stock run this one into Gremlin. We're not going to do anything fancy to it. But anyways, so yeah, it's just a cobbled mess on there. So I'll start the process of tearing this wiring harness apart and going through that, but I'm going to make that its own video, because it's going to take some time to do that. Took me probably about 8 hours to go through the wiring harness for the AMX, but I know a little bit more than I did when I was doing the AMX wiring harness. So here's the truck computer bracket. And they bolt onto trucks, kind of like on the fender well. Kind of hang out like that in the engine bay. Like I showed in another video, the van ones just bolt right on they're just flat and they bolt right on the side of the car. So I might use this one, and I might cut this plastic, kind of make it flat, and maybe just run some anchors through it to bolt it to the side of the fender well. But we'll see. I might be able to find another van one before I have to go to that extent on this one. But if I can't, it's probably what I'll do is just cut it and flatten it down and bolt it to the side. So alright, well, this was probably a pretty short video, but just a quick deal on what I got going on. So I'll get that motor tore down, get the heads cleaned, inspect them, make sure they don't need anything, and start putting it on this motor, figure out that's the green the wife wants, finish painting the engine, start getting it built, and yeah, I'll probably show how to pull the harmonic balancer at the bottom crank pulley off when I start pulling this motor apart, because they are kind of a pain in the butt. But alright, we'll see you guys next time.